Hi, welcome to another episode of the Performance Cafe. I hope you all had a lovely Women's Day and were offered the opportunity to spend some time and celebrate the women that you love and that mean the most to you. In South Africa, we had a good one, but as I mentioned previously, we are still on lockdown and not able to visit friends and family, and that makes it very challenging. So, interestingly enough, last week, a colleague of mine, Leonie Fourie, responded to one of my posts in a comment, and she said, what about isolation? What about isolation and work from home? And she spoke specifically, let me have a swallow of this, it is beautiful. She spoke specifically about what to do. She came out of a corporate background and then decided to start her own business and had felt sort of what we call professional isolation. So this was even before lockdown. So she was highlighting a very interesting angle around what do we do when we have professional loneliness and we have work from home. Now, what's truly interesting about her asking that question is that in a lot of the feedback and a lot of the blogs and a lot of the stuff that I've been doing, I've really focused on lockdown where we have a family setup. And what about those situations where people actually live alone? And so there's no going to work to get away from the loneliness. There's no one at home filling your space to take care of the loneliness. What do we do? And I thought that was such an interesting angle. I thought we'd take a look at connection. When we take a look at Leonie's question, her question was really about professional loneliness. It's about what do I do when I leave a traditional job with staff members, people around me, and I start something from home. And professional loneliness is also seen not just in the context that she brings up, but also between things like CEOs, MDs, people who are at such a high level within a company that they don't really have peers with who they can discuss their concerns. And there's no one to bounce ideas off of. Now, what happens is very often they will take on something like a business coach in order to have that sounding board, in order to have that connection with someone who will listen, who will understand, and will help them find their way through their own thinking so that they can achieve a goal or make a plan, whatever it is that they need. But coming back to work from home isolation during lockdown, this is a really interesting question. And I think it comes down to the nature of connection. It's a really interesting thing. I think I might have mentioned this before, but I'm finding that with the isolation from lockdown, we've been in lockdown since I think about March now, we're over 100 days. It's starting to take its toll. And even people who normally would consider themselves to be fairly introverted are saying, this is a bit much. I really need to get out and get in between people now. Things like social phobias, people who normally have social phobias. This has been exacerbated by the lockdown because the little bit of interaction they'd normally get in order to to sort of just keep them away from the worst effects of those social phobias, even that has been taken away from them. So, as I said, I think it comes down to what does connection mean to you? If you were an extrovert like me, you were forever in between friends, you were forever in between family. And so lockdown rids you of connection of one to many. It rids you of that connection of the freedom of being able to just up and go wherever you want to, whenever you want to. For extroverts, one of the characteristics is that we actually have to speak to process our thoughts, which is why this vlog is so important to me, is that often I'll have a concept, but until actually I start talking it through with you guys, it doesn't form itself entirely until I've processed it verbally. And so that's another form of connection, of I have to speak things through with people to get my thinking straight. If you were an introvert, you might have thought, well, connection to me is just once in a while reaching out and having people around me. Very often introverts are incredibly good listeners. So they'll sit with us extroverts. They want to be part of the conversation, but they don't want to be the sole focus of the conversation. So for them, it's more about what stimulus do I get in from others and what can I start thinking and processing about that connection. There are then also people who are, for example, very empathic. And so for them, it's actually also not just about being with people and sensing people's vibes, but also the ability to touch people, which of course right now we can't do. And I think that's the crux for me, is that in order to solve the problem of how do I get rid of this sense of isolation during work from home, to say what parts of my role actually contribute to isolation, because there are times that I have to sit and focus and be away from people, and what parts of my role can I actually use to connect with people, to bounce ideas off of, whether it's a team member, a manager, team leader, maybe a business coach or a coach. Maybe it's a friend who's in a similar industry and will understand where you're coming from, but isn't vested in the solution here because of not being in the same business. And so I think there's time to reflect now on something that for us was very natural. Connection. You walk into a supermarket. You have to turn in order to squeeze past someone, to get to the product that you want. You would greet friends. I took my dog for a walk this weekend, and I managed to come across friends that were walking their dogs as well. And it was really awkward because there we stood. We'd normally hug and say hello, and we sort of went into hug, stopped, retreated, and went, oh, we can't do that. And so we understood that is one of the requirements for us for connection. And to understand, what does connection mean for me? How do I make it work in the current situation? And I think for many people to admit that they need the connection. Some people are very focused on, I don't need connection, I'm okay on my own. But it's quite interesting that when we take a look at, and I might have mentioned this before, but if we take a look at what's considered the happy hormones in our body, we have endorphins and dopamine that actually are hormones that stimulate us, that make us feel better when we are doing things independently. It's about independent goal achievement. And then on the other hand, we've got serotonin and oxytocin, which are happy hormones that make us feel better when we are seeing people do things or being with people or doing things for people. So, for example, if you need a hit of anti-isolation serotonin or oxytocin right now, maybe send a friend a gift or a greeting or connect with them over Zoom. I know a lot of people are saying, oh, well, it's not the same with Zoom. It's not, but it is what we've got right now. And I hope that we can all put this to good use. If you've enjoyed this vlog and you'd like me to continue, please like and subscribe me on the YouTube channel you're watching this from, or else like, share, and leave a comment in LinkedIn or Facebook where these vlogs are also being shown. I'd love to hear your comments, any thoughts on what I've said before, or if you've got any ideas of topics that you'd like me to take a look at, I'm more than happy to oblige. I hope you've enjoyed today's edition of the Performance Cafe. I look forward to seeing you again at the next episode when we carry on talking, and maybe this time we're going to talk a bit about goal achievement in difficult times. I look forward to seeing you.